Good morning, girls. Happy Wednesday. Okay, we're going to turn this here. That way we don't have to stare at the sun, right? It's good morning. So glad you're out here today. It's a beautiful day down here in South Carolina. Just one of those days where you ever had them where you get up and there's like 20 things you can be doing or you need to be doing, possibly both, and you've got to pick two. Well, today's one of those days, girls. It is just, there's so many things out there, so many opportunities, so many things that I could do, and I had to pick two. Oh, that's tough. But the amazing part is that I get to choose. That's what I love about the life that we have. We choose what we do. Good morning, Judith. Great to have you on this morning. You know, and today's topic for all you girls out there is a little bit more challenging, I believe, because it's something, you know, and it was funny. I picked the topic because I got up this morning and three of the sources that I look at in the morning for devotional stuff actually all had the same topic. And I'm thinking, okay, so that's kind of a clear message that we possibly need to be addressing this. I usually find that a lot of times when I run into the same topic over and over again, it's because it's a message that needs to be heard. So that's why you find there'll be topics that I'll talk about, and maybe they're very uncomfortable to talk about, but I do it for the purpose, is because I know that somebody out there needs to hear this today, or needs to hear it later in the recording. But the deal is, I'm always going to bring you the truth. I don't candy coat well. For those that know me, I failed candy coating 101 in college, so I just say it like it is, and it's like I tell folks, if you look like a skunk, you smell like a skunk, I'm going to tell you stink, but I'm going to do it in love, because I don't want to be candy coated. I don't want to be beat up, but I also don't want things candy coated, and if things are not okay, I don't want somebody to say, oh, they're fine, they'll be fine, when they're not. Okay, so that's why I do what I do, because we're supposed to behave in a way we want people to behave to us. And sometimes I miss that mark, but I really do try. So, but I'm glad you're out here, because our today's topic just it has been, like I said, 3 different sources this morning, totally different ends of the world. So it's not even like there's one group talking about it. It was actually 3 different. And that is bondage, slavery, being caught up in chains. It's a common thing, and I know a lot of people go back to, oh, but I'm not in prison, I'm not in chains, I'm not a slave. You know, yes, sometimes we are, girls, and we're going to talk about those times right now. One of the verses that I'm going to take you to, and see, this is where I have to make a choice, keep talking to y'all or pick up the phone. Oh, just sometimes it's crazy, right? So we're going to go into John chapter 8 today, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Jesus tells us. And you can actually read from verses 31 to 36, but it basically talks in there about Jesus telling us, and I'll just read it. Then Jesus said to those Jews who believed him, and again, who believed him? You always got to look at the words in there. Who believed him? So if you don't believe in Jesus, then this is not going to pertain. So who believed him? If you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, we are Abraham's descendants, and have never been in bondage to anyone. How can you say you will be made free? Doesn't it sound a little cocky, arrogant? You know, kind of the way we might respond to some people. And Jesus answered them, and he says, most assuredly I say to you, whoever commits sin is a slave to sin. And a slave does not abide in the house forever, but a son abides forever. Therefore, if the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. So basically what he's telling us in there is he's telling us that as believers, we're no longer slaves to the things of this world. We're no longer caught in the bondages that tie us up. And I'm going to talk about some of those real quick here, because I'm not a shrink. So I'm not going to get into your head, but I'm going to bring to you something here that is really eye-opening, very, I want to say revolutionary to folks, because we think we're caught up and we're stuck and we can't figure out what's wrong, what's causing this depression, what's causing this anger, what's causing the frustration, what's causing my stuckness. And I know in the mastermind I'm in, one of the things that every time I celebrate, getting something done, I turn around and call it, I'm now unstuck. It's not a word, it's my word, it's a Robinism, but I celebrate unstuckness. How about you? So let's talk about that. What is holding you in bondage? What are you a slave to? What chains hold you back from shining that bright light that is within you? What is it that's holding you? Is it a shameful past? You're afraid or fearful of tomorrow? You desire other people's approval. You're obsessed with a goal. You're codependent on a relationship. Do you have a guilty conscience about something? Do you have an addictive behavior? Or maybe a drama queen? You're stuck in a prison in all of those, and you're tied up, and you're in chains, and you're in bondage. And Jesus says, you are free. I have set you free from that. But what we know for a fact, and I'm reading my notes here just to make sure, because just some really cool things this morning. But every believer has the power to break those chains. It's a choice. God allows you to choose to release them. So how do we release them? How do I cut these chains of bondage around a fearful tomorrow? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You and I have no clue what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, we could say we've got a doctor's appointment, or, oh, tomorrow's grocery day, or tomorrow's date night with my husband, or whatever your tomorrow is, but we really don't know until we embrace that day what that day has to hold for us. Desire for others' approval. Oh, Lord, I know that one. Because of my past, I felt I had to get other people's approval. I felt that when I met my birth father, I had to prove something to him. I felt I couldn't do what I do because I didn't know if everybody would approve of this. What would they say? Would they say I'm crazy? Obsessed with a goal, girls. It's great to have goals. We want to set goals because goals give us a way to get to where we want to go. If you don't have goals written down, they just become daydreams that by tomorrow morning they're gone and you've forgotten them. So goals are good. Write them down. But don't be so tied to these goals that you can't see tomorrow. I had a friend that was so obsessed with losing her weight because she felt in her mirror she wasn't worthy because she had 20 extra pounds. Okay, then you look at, I'm sitting there going, okay, I had well over 100 to go, and you're complaining about 20, but each battle is different. But she was caught in that bondage, and not until she realized how amazing she was, how beautiful she was on the inside that came out, was she released from that bondage. How did she realize that? How do people get over their fear of tomorrow? How do you get rid of addictive behaviors? How do we break through all of this stuff? How do we get out of the bondage? How do we, get rid of that fear of tomorrow, that drama queen mentality, the addictive behaviors, being obsessed with goals or things? How do we get past all that? And it's pretty simple. Number one, we need to absorb ourselves into the Word of God, because God's going to show us in the Word exactly how to get over some of this. The second thing is worship. Worship will change your mindset. As you listen to the songs and you just quiet yourself down, it'll help change just the overall perspectives you have on stuff. And the third thing is you want to be in fellowship. You want to be connected to other believers. You want to be hanging out with them. You want to be talking to them. And that means some FaceTime too, girls. Not just, chatting on Messenger on Facebook. It's really important that we actually meet people as people. That you can shake hands, that you can get a hug, whatever it is. Because you see, God made us as relational people. And when we start shutting down and buying into today's society's mentality of everything is digital, we're all online, we're all virtual, we don't have to hook up with people. That's where things start falling apart. I have never seen a bigger time in this world of people that just are unhappy where they're at. They're depressed, they're needing more, and yet they keep going to their phone and doing their chatting and their texting, and all that's going to do is isolate you more. We talked about this earlier this week. We talked about isolation. Do not be an island. Because girls, freedom from bondage, breaking free from those chains, the only way you can do that is through the power of Jesus Christ. That's it. You can go to some medical professional and they can prescribe all the drugs they want to. But then you're just going to be into bondage into those. It's time that we come and realize that if we return to our home base, to Jesus Christ, to the Holy Spirit that can help us get through all this stuff, life will never be the same. But we have to choose, because God is a gentleman. He's going to knock on that door and he's going to say, "Hey, Robin, I'm here." And then it's your choice to open that door. It's your choice if you open the front door and say, "Okay, come on in. Welcome to my home. But don't go in this room." That could be where your bondage is. That could be your things that are holding you back in this world. That could be your fear, your anxiety, your drama, your obsessions, your shame. Girls, when we let him in, we have to let him in all that way. We have to say, "Hey, the door is open, come in. Make yourself at home, your family." There is nothing off limits to him. Otherwise, he can't work in your life. God is not meant to be put in a box, just like you aren't meant to be put in a box. You're meant to be out there, free of the walls, free of the burdens, free of the barriers, and shining your light. So my question for you girls today is, what bondage is holding you back? What do you need to break free from? What chains do you need to break? And go back to John 8:36. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. Girls, through Jesus Christ, we have that freedom. These chains don't exist no more. Release them. Allow Jesus to work in your life. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go meet a girlfriend for some coffee this morning. Like I said, I had 20 things to choose from, and I chose two. Two of them that I think are the best for the moment. One was hanging out with y'all this morning. The second is meeting my girlfriend and just being there with her, and everything else will fall into place afterwards. So have a blessed day. Let me know what your bondage is if you're willing to share. And we can pray for you. We can be there for you. And let's find ways to connect you so that you're not in that bondage anymore. Time to free yourself from those chains, girls. All right? Bye-bye. Have a blessed day, girls.